Yes, guys, we're back. Hello, everyone. This is Chasing Green Arrows. I'm Gianni Batici, and I'm joined by my good friend, and I've missed you, buddy, Dean Jones. Dean, how are you, mate?
Oh, mate, it feels like a long time, doesn't it? Well, it has been a long time. We don't normally have full weeks without shows, but we have. We just had a full week. So
yeah, it's like 10 days because we did Friday to Tuesday.
True. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, yeah, mad. Mid-season break for us that we didn't want. Yeah, I went to the England game the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, I took my little boy to that.
Which one? The first one?
The first one against Malta.
That was a bit better, wasn't it? That was a bit, well... I guess the second one was away, wasn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, it was good, obviously, to take my little boy to his first England game.
Oh, I bet he loved the stadium, didn't he?
He loved it, mate. Like, honestly,
Wembley.
Watching the world through his eyes walking into Wembley was like one of the favourite experiences of my life. And yeah, he was just amazed by like a Mexican wave. You know, the game was so bad. The highlights were a Mexican wave, turning your tickets into paper aeroplanes. And he loved the arch and stuff like that. But from his point of view, like, it was great because England won 2-0. And like, if we go to a Fulham game and it ends up 2-0, he knows it's a good day. So he luckily he had the the ceiling for enjoying yourself is down here.
Yeah.
Most people turning up expecting a 5 or 6-0, but not him. He was expecting a 2 or 3. And so it's great, brilliant. Mate. My big takeaway was Marcus Rashford, like a dead man walking. Like, he was awful. He was
again last night when he came on.
I was like, what is he doing? Like, he didn't.
He's dropped down tools, hasn't he?
He just didn't. He wasn't taking anyone on. Look, going into that England game, he joined up late because of personal issues, they said. And he still made the team. And then I'm like, okay, look, I don't know what's going on in his life, so I'm going to be a little bit reserved in terms of totally slating him. But he was receiving the ball wide and then just like laying it back to like Conor Gallagher or something. It's like, mate, you're playing Malta at home and you've already qualified. Have a go.
Have a go at that Gardner. Have a go at that plumber.
Get at people. And he didn't do it. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And yeah, so from an FPL point of view, I took that on board. Conor Gallagher had a bad game.
Conor Gallagher's not, as a Chelsea fan, and academy kid, he's got the armband, he works hard. Conor Gallagher's a good player that tries hard, always puts in a shift. Does he have the talent and to be an elite top tier player? I don't think he ever will. I don't see him as that. Like, I think he'll do a very good job for West Ham. I'm saying that because FPL fella in the chat, and Aston Villa, by the way, he'd do a great job for Aston Villa. Aston Villa Bozzy and FPL fella both in the chat, West Ham and Villa fans. But I don't think they want him. Standard. That's his level.
Maybe, mate. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's sad because, like, I never quite believed that Rashford was as good as everyone was talking about him when he was at the top of his game. I was never convinced he was a superstar. Yeah. But he was very, very good. Like, he was at one, you know, there was that phase he went through where he was scoring so many goals. He was brilliant at that point. Oh, something's just happened to him, man, and it's sad to see. But yeah, your lads made it through, mate. Italy, they've just about run through the door at the last minute.
Oh, mate, that was nerve-wracking. And but what I'm not enjoying is loads on Twitter standard. Like, if Italy struggles straight away, I'll get it on Twitter. Loads of now the narrative is, oh, Ukraine should have had a penalty, therefore Italy would have been knocked out. That's not true. Firstly, Ukraine have got to score the penalty. Yeah. Secondly, Italy lose that game and they're still in a playoff against bloody Cyprus and qualify. Italy is still making the Euros with or without, I think, that penalty. And
probably.
And look, do you not think Italy had penalty claims or big chances missed in that game? Of course they did, but it's remembered because it's the last couple of minutes. It's Mudryk, and everyone wants to see Italy fail.
Do you think it's because it was Mudryk and he spends half his life on the floor anyway?
Yeah, it's definitely helped. For once, I enjoyed seeing Mudryk not getting the decision. What about international injuries, mate? We've got a few in the chat, sort of FPL fellas here. He's a big West Ham fan, and he tweeted this morning about Kudus apparently pulled up. We know Bowen's rumoured to be out, but could still be fine this weekend. But again, we don't quite know. It's a very grey area of Bowen's injury. And what we do know is Antonio is going to be out for a few months. So at West Ham alone, there's big injuries. But this international break, more than most, Matoma's injury, there's loads of flags left, right and centre.
Yeah, the Kudus one is the one that I'm waiting on with the most eagerness, really, because I've just got a message actually from someone that I'd asked about this before we came on, so I'm just going to see.
Oh, nice one.
What he had to say specifically.
Aston Villa Bozzy says Gallagher was our best midfielder this season. Says a lot, Gianni. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're going to call wide men midfielders, but I'd say Palmer and Sterling have both been sensational. But certainly in the last month or so, definitely are standout performers at the moment over Gallagher, who's been good.
Yeah. So yeah, he said the Kudus one is really clouded because the club haven't actually had a proper report back from Garner about how bad that one is. He says that Jared Bowen here, there's a problem on the knee, and they've got to determine how bad it is. He's a doubt for the weekend. And Antonio isn't as bad as they first said, but he's obviously out. I mean, the underlying factor here is: do you want to get Danny Ings in your team? No.
Or Mabama. He's in my team. 4.3.
Yeah, I mean, mate, he might be playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kudus, like if he comes back from Ghana and it's not as bad, then I think he'll start up front, because that's, West Ham have talked about that a fair bit, but that doesn't make good reading. I mean, the Jared Bowen one, the fact that a scan has shown a bit of fluid than me. I mean, that can mean anything, to be honest. Like that, I've heard of players have a long term out after something like that, and also nothing, and they just play. Okay. So we'll have to wait and see. But let's take a hunch. I reckon Jared Bowen somehow makes a recovery and he'll be all right.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think, Antonio, while Kudus, we don't know, but Bowen feels like the sort of player you just go, oh, he's going to fight. Like Saka, he'll manage whatever he's got. Matoma news, Getty FPL, we don't know a huge amount. What I'll say about Matoma is he ruled himself out the last international break. So when he was ruled out for Japan this time around, it was like, oh, he'll be fine. But there has been a few local reporters saying, no, he's going to be out this weekend. Highly, highly doubtful. What I would say about Matoma is we know De Zerbi will tell us. Just wait to the press conference. This isn't going to be like a Moyes or an Eddie Howe or an Arteta where we leave the press conference going, will he, won't he? De Zerbi will tell you if Matoma is starting or not. He'll tell you if he's going to be in the squad or not. And if he's out, he'll tell you how long he's out for as well. So just wait for the press conference on that one.
Yeah, that's true. There's obviously a couple of big flags at the moment that people might be worried about. Like there's a triangle next to Haaland. I don't know if Son's got a flag next to him or not at the moment, but obviously he did have a knock the other day. Both of those will be all right.
Yeah. And both are good captaincy options this week. When we look at FPL captaincy, and we'll talk about that later in the show, Haaland plays Salah, but Haaland, Salah and Son, as always, will be the three we're thinking about. Sometimes we look away from the three big names and we go, what about a differential punt on an Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle, Man United player? Well, all those guys have got tough fixtures this week. Aston Villa, same again. So I do think we'll all be captaining Haaland, Salah or Son. And I'm between Haaland and Son at the moment. Both, as you say, knocks in the break, but I think we'll be absolutely fine. And sometimes we look at big fixtures. City play Liverpool, and we go, oh, I don't want to buy a player because he's got Liverpool. I don't want to buy a City player this week because he's got Liverpool. Or I don't want to captain Salah because he's got Man City. But these big fixtures can produce massive goals. Like, we haven't spoken since the Man City-Chelsea game. 8 goals. Chelsea-Spurs, 5 goals. Liverpool, Salah's got a great record against Man City. I think City versus Liverpool, both Salah and Haaland, perfectly good captaincy options this week, and this will be a high-scoring game.
That's true, actually. Like it's got to the point where we can actually just pick players and how much you would trust them to score goals, because we're not getting that many tight affairs at the moment. Because let's face it, there aren't that many like really good teams at the moment. Like everybody's got vulnerabilities and flaws, and they're all being preyed on at the moment. We've got a lot of teams with good attacking options. We don't have that many great defenses, I don't think, this season.
Yeah.
So I think that's something to look out for. And yeah, I wouldn't have any problem with picking Salah, or if I was to captain Salah or Haaland, I would still go Haaland.
Yeah, home advantage as
Home
well.
advantage. Like it's just the likelihood is Man City win the game. The likelihood is that Haaland scores. Obviously, both on pens, so that factor doesn't come into it too much. But I still think you would 100% give the captaincy to Haaland over Salah. But yeah, Son, Aston Villa at home, that's a reasonable fixture for him, even though that Spurs are obviously lower on numbers now because of the suspensions and injuries. I don't think it's been bad. I think they've dealt all right with it. Like Wolves, they've conceded 2 in injury time. Otherwise, they've won that game 1-0. And Chelsea, they came through most of that game really well and let it go right in the last 10 or whatever it was. So, like, considering this crisis that they've had to manage for, like, I don't know, whatever it's been so far, an hour, like 2 hours or whatever on the pitch, I think they've done all right. I'm actually, like, not that put off by Spurs assets.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I think Spurs, look, Son, Aston Villa play the highest of all high lines, don't they? Like, I think Son versus the Villa high line. And last season against Emery, Son had big points. Guys, good to see so many of you watching from around the world. We've got Faremi in India. We got FPL Down Under watching live in Melbourne.
Oh, nice.
Guys, if you want to give us your city, give us your city. We'll flash a few of them up on screen. Let's do a little bit of a global watch. Where in the world are you watching from? Aston Villa Bozzy says Villa will smash Spurs. That's not like you, Aston Villa Bozzy. FPL Fella says, do you think any differential captains are out there? Eze is an interesting one. We'll speak a little bit about the likes of Eze later in the show. We're going to be looking at some of the midfielders. Good to see Nicholas in Malta. Faremi is in West Bengal. FPL Fellas in Essex representing. Ryan's in Canada. We've got Sweden, Edinburgh. Oh, a global reach here, Dean. From all the names crazy, from all those names, and there's more coming on now. If you could live in any of those places, where would you pick?
I've
just seen a new one.
I've never been to Gothenburg, but I like Sweden's got an appeal. Like I like the idea of Sweden. Not sure I could afford it, but yeah, Gothenburg sounds good. The Malta one actually doesn't sound too bad because Nick, I actually went to school with him, so yeah, I know he's all right. So I could go to Malta and have a couple of beers with Nick, and I've got a friend.
Melbourne would be appealing, but it's so far from home. And look, where in South Africa are you, Taufik? Because if you're Cape Town, that might get my vote. Dean, I've never been to a more expensive city than Miami, I don't think. You go to the States a lot, but you go the other side, you go to California. It wasn't expensive when I went to Miami 5 years ago, but I swear now it's the most expensive city I've ever been to. Like ridiculous prices. Even 10-minute Ubers, $35. Like what?
Really? Yeah. Well, the place I always go is San Diego, which is literally the most expensive place in America to now live. So yeah, it ain't cheap when I go. But it depends what it is, though. Like it really depends. I always find it depends what you're doing. Like the thing that hit me the most on my last trip was, I don't know if I said this on here at the time. I think I might have. I bought deodorant and it was $12.
No.
It was just like a normal...
What, like Lynx Africa?
It wasn't Lynx. It was like their equivalent of like Shore or whatever, like I would normally buy here. That would normally be like £3. I paid I worked it out. I paid something like £9 for a normal can of deodorant. I was like, this is madness. This is madness. Yeah, I don't know. It's swings and roundabouts. I mean, typically in San Diego, for example, like you earn more money, so
yeah,
it tends to come in line. But yeah, some stuff is absolutely nuts. Cameron's in the house. He's just been back from a daddy play group.
Yes, Cam.
Oh, I remember those days. I think I'm almost through those soft play days now.
I had a great soft play date on Saturday. Loads of fun. Loads of fun.
They are fun sometimes. They are fun sometimes. Will says we should be used to it with Fulham ticket prices. Well, I am not one of the people that slates Fulham for their ticket prices, because my season ticket at Fulham is such good value. Yeah, individual ticket prices at Fulham are becoming a joke. Like the Man United game was like 160 quid. And I think I looked the other day, a Wolves ticket was like 120 quid. And that is stupid. I get it. But my Fulham season ticket is about 550 pound, and Dylan's is 150 pound. So personally, I haven't felt the implications of that because I'm like committed. But I think the problem you get with those ticket prices is in the future you're not going to get the fans coming for the next generation. Fulham at one point we didn't have, typically we've not got a big fan base, but in the Al Fayed days we used to do kids for £1. And so it would encourage you to bring her along, I don't know, your nieces and nephews or whatever, just to get them out for the day and get them in, and then they start to build a bond with the club. So, I see what you're saying there. But yeah, Fulham don't burn me too bad, luckily.
Mate, the best way, we'll move on to FPL chat in 30 seconds' time. The best way of getting kids involved in Bergamo, the Atlanta fans, you probably know this, I'm sure it would have featured on ranks, all get if a child is born in the vicinity, like, I don't know, 20-mile radius from the training ground, or I don't know how they do it, every kid that's born in Bergamo gets a mini kit for the baby, and it's to stop them. I didn't know that. Yeah, so the club send every kid a kit, and it's to stop them going to support AC Milan or Inter because that's so close.
I love that. Fulham definitely need to start doing that. Fulham need to start that.
Yeah, great marketing from the club. Let's Connor, we'll ask Dean his big question in the next 10 minutes or so. Did Dean spot any famous footballers at the shops this weekend? But when he has a think about that, let's load some data. Let's have a look at some of the stats I've been looking at in the last 24 hours. We can show you now on screen. This is the non-pen XG of all forwards in the game to date, because the international break is a good place just to take stock, isn't it? So I was like, look, XG, you guys know I love. We can see the actual on here as well. And that involvement column where it says goals plus assists is really important. Haaland on 16 leading the way. Watkins on 11 combination of goals, assists. Jackson 6. Solanke's been involved. Nunes is on 8. But when we look at the non-pen XG, and bearing in mind Haaland has taken penalties, he's still top of the charts by a country mile. And Watkins off penalties, Jackson not on penalties, still flying quite high. But I want to use this chat just to talk about forwards, and let us know in the chat who you're looking to recruit in the next few weeks, because there's a few names on this list where managers are getting interested. Because many of us, like me, own Haaland and Watkins, and they're maybe not looking to own Watkins for the difficult run of games. He's got a really tricky run. He's got Spurs and Bournemouth in the next 2, but then it's Man City, Arsenal, and it gets tricky. So many will go Watkins to Darwin. Some will go Watkins to Solanke. He's got a great run of games. And some will go to Isak, knowing Wilson's going to be out for 6 weeks. And Kunku's Alvarez, been mentioned, both of them in the chat. Thank you, Framey and Autumn S, for your insight. Where do you reckon you'll end up going, Dean? Like, is Watkins a hold through the festive period? Or do you look at Darwin's fixtures or Isak's fixtures or Solanke's fixtures and think maybe you can move in that direction?
Look, I think I might be a different case here. I've just done a wild card. I've brought Watkins back in because I had him, got rid of him, scored like a ton of goals, and now I've got him back. I can't be burned by that again. I just can't. So I'll stick with Watkins through this run. And
he is a 90-minute man as well for the festive period, and some of these guys aren't. You need someone with all these fixtures that's going to play every minute, and he will.
Yeah, so I'm not concerned about that at all. So Haaland's my other. Alvarez is my other. Alvarez, I'll be interested to see like what I get out of him.
Yeah, he doesn't feature in this chart, Alvarez.
No, I'm interested to see what returns I actually end up getting from him, because I do feel like that one, it could be a great pick, but I'm no longer as convinced it is that I was when I first started doing this. In terms of those other ones, Darwin is definitely an interesting one. I don't know if you watched Argentina nil Uruguay 2.
Oh, Bielsa's Uruguay is a delight, isn't it?
Oh my goodness!
What do you think of that goal? Because he still it went under the legs of Emi Martinez.
Yeah,
but it was such a good goal.
It was such a good goal, and Nunes played really well in that style of play, and I think that, you know, any confidence that he has now, it's going to be the same at Liverpool or Uruguay. He's playing under Klopp and Bielsa. And I think for Darwin Nunes, this is it. This is the dream. Like, what a moment for him. Over the next year, obviously, like Uruguay got a great international team at the moment, and they'll have, I think, high hopes of winning Copa America and stuff. So Darwin's interesting, but we've still got this.
Does he start on Saturday? Because he just doesn't. He never starts that first game back. The early kickoff, but surely this one bucks the trend. He's been Klopp's 9 now, like clear and obvious Klopp's 9. If he's fit, he starts, doesn't he, or not?
It's just so hard to tell on the back of this international break, isn't it? Because like you just don't know what he's coming back as. I mean, Uruguay play tonight.
Who do they play?
They got a game against Bolivia, so I think that makes things extremely difficult. The game's in Uruguay, so Tuesday now, so it'll be back by Thursday, but it gives him 48 hours basically to be ready to play in that game at City. I think it's probably enough time.
If he does start though, because it's Man City, maybe we don't have to buy him for FPL yet. But then after that, does he start? How many of these does he start? Next Sunday, Fulham. Wednesday, Sheffield United, because midweek games of Premier League, and then Saturday, Palace. So 3 good fixtures, but in 6 days. And again, like Mo Salah's playing every minute of those 3 games. Yeah. I think Darwin's probably going to start 2 and can Darwin start 3 and 6? We don't often see him start 3 and 6. Like, he doesn't play in the Europa, does he?
I don't think you'll see him start all of them. And that's the difficulty, because Liverpool do have such good numbers now, and like Luis Diaz is going to be starting. Like, we know that.
Well,
like,
he scored a worldie, didn't he?
Like, Luis Diaz has gone away on international. He's single-handedly seen off Brazil. Like, unbelievable performance. I don't know if
in front of his dad as well.
But like, it was ridiculous performance. Like, it was literally like something from a movie with his recently kidnapped dad sitting in the stand. Luis Diaz puts in this like Roy of the Rovers stuff. Like, he's just taking it past everyone trying to score. Couldn't score with his feet, so he scores 2 late headers. Like, when does Luis Diaz score 2 late headers? His dad's obviously wailing in the crowd, and now Liverpool have flown his family over to Liverpool for Christmas. So you'd imagine you're going to be seeing him at Anfield for the first game back there, and that Luis Diaz does it all over again. So I still think there's more to come from that narrative. And again, because Liverpool have just such good numbers and good options in that attack, it affects where Núñez will be used. Cameron says, I have Darwin. I'm questioning whether to move him on for guaranteed minutes over a busy Christmas period. And I don't necessarily think that that's a good idea. I think don't worry so much about the minutes and worry about the impact.
Yeah,
that's probably what the approach you've got to
2
take.
2 and 3 starts, but like a 70, a 70, and a 40 or a 30 is still, with Darwin's big chances that fall his way, is probably still fine with those fixtures. Like Fulham and Sheffield United.
We just can't guarantee anything over this next couple of months in terms of like injuries, in terms of weather and postponements, and like just the congestion. Loads of stuff's going to be thrown up that is out of our control. So the other thing that's out of our control is predicting how many minutes Darwin Núñez is going to get under Jurgen Klopp. Yeah. Completely. But he's going to use him because he knows he's becoming a better and better source of goals.
Yep. So I like Núñez, and he might be someone I bring in for Watkins and just take the risk of minutes, as Dean says. Solanke isn't one I don't think for me. I just have a few trust issues there with Bournemouth, but great value if you need the money to go to a 4-3-3 and go Watkins or Darwin and Solanke. I see and hear that. Isak's the other one. Lower down in this list, but probably had the fewest minutes, I'd have thought. He's back fit, we think. Newcastle are a very good attack. When they're all fit and firing, they're a very good attack.
Yeah.
Isak got a bit of a draw for me. I like him as a bit of a punt. The fixtures for Newcastle are kind of good, but not great. I don't know. I think I still prefer Darwin to Isak, but I like that outside of the box thinking with an Isak. He'll be pretty lowly owned and quite a nice differential, I'd have thought. Yeah,
I know that there are concerns at Newcastle at the moment about whether they need to sign a new forward in January because of Isak and Wilson.
Two sick notes.
It could be, and they can't be undone by this. Like, it would be it'd be gutting for them if they didn't have another option. So you're probably seeing they're being linked with players like Ekitike at the moment, and it's because they really will contemplate going after another attacking option. I think it'll be more of a versatile one, so one that can play wide as well. But
like
yeah,
Isak.
yeah. Well, this is the thing. I don't. Isak is a great option to go wide as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think they trust that Isak is going to stay fit from now until the end of the season, which is probably wise.
Yeah, I hear that. And we know Callum Wilson certainly isn't and won't be. Let's move on to some midfielders because we've got questions like, what do we do with Matoma? Guys, if you fancy hitting that like button, that'd be amazing. I know you're all subscribed, but if you're not, hit that button too. Let's look at some midfielders though, because many of you this week are looking to sell Matoma. Myself included. Like, forget the injury. I was probably going to sell Matoma this week. Now, there's a few standout names here. Let's look at the players. Let's just praise how good number 2 and 3 in this list have been. Like, we don't need to talk about Mo Salah, but what we can do when we look at non-penalty XG this season, and bearing in mind, Salah scored 3 penalties, and Bomo scored 3 penalties as well. He's putting up really similar numbers to Mo Salah, 5.62 XG versus 5.92. And Bomo plays for Brentford, and he still racks up. Like, we know Brentford are a team. Whether you like their football, whether you like them as a team, one thing Brentford do better than pretty much any other team in the division is guarantee they create big chances. Their percentage of big chances versus small chances will be the best in the league by a country mile. This team knows how to rack up big chances. And every game they'll have a couple of big chances. Often very, very few chances overall, but a couple of big ones. And those big ones lead to goals. Now, Tony is often the beneficiary of those goals. But this season, it's Mbomo. He's the beneficiary of these goals. And they find ways to create big chances against any teams. And Mbomo, that's why his XG is so high. He plays often out wide. Doesn't matter. He's the big man in this team, just like Mo Salah is at Liverpool. The fixtures are really good for Brentford. Not from this week, but from next. You could go this week, Arsenal at home. But from game week 14, it reads really, really nice. I don't think I'll necessarily own Mbomo this week, but I definitely will next.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that I don't pick Mbomo, but that's my problem. I feel like even though they're playing against Arsenal at home, he's
still
kind
good
of fixture proof. Yeah, I don't think it really matters. I'd say that's a good pick. Someone just made a good point. Alex Palmer, not on that list, tells you all you need to know on this non-penalty XG.
Well, Palmer wasn't starting early doors either. Palmer's non-pen XG is not actually that bad.
Yeah. I mean, look, I like Palmer. I've got him in my team. I kind of want him in my lineup. Like, I haven't got him in the team, so I didn't get his points in the last match when he scored that penalty against Man City. And I'm like, I've got Martinelli in my team, right? I don't think I want him. I thought I had to cover myself for an Arsenal player. So I got Martinelli. And I'm like, well, I've got the worst one. What's the point? I just don't feel like the output for Martinelli is there anymore. I'm not really seeing signs of it coming back. So I am contemplating getting rid of Martinelli, but it would leave me with no Arsenal attackers, which seems stupid. But I just don't think it matters if it matters, because I'm genuinely thinking this week, Martinelli, yeah, he got Brentford away, but Palmer at Newcastle away. Newcastle short on players. Trippier's not even a certainty to be playing this weekend for Newcastle because he's had personal issues. We don't yet know for sure that he's going to be playing. Like, it not beyond the realms that Chelsea could actually go to Newcastle and do something. If they're gonna, it's probably going to be Cole Palmer. By the way, at Wembley, when Cole Palmer came on the other day for England, so impressed by him. Like, just got straight into the groove of the game. Like, he came on, him and Declan Rice, and England just looked totally different from the moment they stepped onto the pitch. Like, Cole Palmer, he's just naturally so confident, so sure of himself, and in a good way. In a good way. It's an arrogance that is fine. Yeah, it's good.
Did you see Jules Breach, friend of the show, left him hanging on the handshake?
I did see that, yeah. Very, very good. He didn't let her get away with it, though, did he?
Yeah, he did well there. You're right about Arsenal. Like, I can see why you'd be okay with dropping Martinelli. And when we look at this list, this is all midfielders in the game from game week 1. There's not an Arsenal player in sight. Saka's played pretty much every minute. Saka's got good FPL points. He's not
Yeah.
on this list. Arsenal attack has failed to deliver this season. And Arsenal attack, when we look at like the attacking numbers, when you certainly take away penalties, and they've had a few, their numbers are really overwhelming. They've scored something like 12 goals in open play this season in the Premier League. It's been really bad. So I look at this list. Salah's obviously a lock. And Bomo and Bowen, like, there's not much between them. Some of you might favour Bowen, if fit, over Mbomo. For me, it's Mbomo. Son's a lock in all of our teams. Doucouré's been putting up great numbers and playing off the front man. Rashford, let's ignore. And actually, the conversion on Rashford's really low. He's only actually had a combination of 2 involvements this season, but loads of XG. Gordon's played up top a bit. Great. Souček we're not interested in, I don't think. But Sterling and Jota, worth keeping an eye on too. Perhaps not Jota, now Diaz is back. But Sterling, another player I really like the look of.
Yeah, I mean, Sterling seems like he's on a mission at the moment. Like, I think he feels totally disrespected. And
he has been.
He has been. So, like, yeah, I mean, look, he did go off a boil for a year. But
so did Rashford.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's flabbergasting that Sterling could not be called up. I mean, there has to be something more to it than football, because that just doesn't make any sense. We got a lovely one here, mate. FPL Roy, or however you pronounce his name. Sorry, Roy. He says, love the content. Keep up the good work, lads. And he's thrown us a couple of quid, mate.
Oh, thanks, FPL Rowie. We'll put you on screen if we can. That's very kind of you, mate. Thanks for supporting the channel, as always. If you've got a question, let us know. If it's FPL related, we'll try and answer it. Let us know, Rowie, who you're picking in this list. Like I mentioned, I think Mbomo being for me. Palmer's not in the list, but we did mention earlier, not a ton of minutes early on in the season, and also has relied on penalties, but his underlying numbers have been good. Certainly his expected assists. He has missed, I think, 3 big chances in open play. I think he's converted 4 in 7 big chances. Those 4 have all been penalties. But this week, I think I might be buying Palmer. It's either Palmer or Mbomo for me. But if I go Mbomo, I need to make my second transfer because I'm selling Matoma and I've got no money in the bank and there's a bit of a price difference there. And then for me, I'd go Mbomo next week for Diaby. And Palm, I could go Palm this week. The other option this week, and there are a few questions in the chat about him, is Eze. Doesn't feature in the list. Again, has had a bit of a lack of minutes. He played game week 1 to 7 and then I think missed a blow. And he's been back the last 2. The last 2 games he's been back, he's returned in both. He's on penalties. When Palace score, and that does feel like do I go into every game going, will Palace even get a goal today? I certainly do think that. But when they do, you know Eze is going to be involved. And the fixtures, only for the next 3, but you could go Eze for the next 3 and then on to Palmer. And Palmer's fixtures get great from 16 and Eze's are good until 16. What do you think to going Eze short-term, Dean? Luton up this week. You could go for a really short-term punt on Eze. Jody is. I think I might go in that direction too.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. I mean, Eze, brilliant player and definitely somebody that gets Palace cooking. So I think that of all the fixtures that you might contemplate picking him for, that could be the one. Palace are a hard team to read at the moment generally, but Eze definitely makes them a lot better. So yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all. Just to go back a little bit, it's not to do with goal scorers, but goalkeepers. Linus says, do you think Raya will return after the Brentford game, or will Ramsdale stay on if he has a good game? There is almost no chance that Ramsdale would keep his place.
Arteta's made his bed.
He's made, like for all the empty words that Arteta gave us about this is a battle, I don't have a number 1. He has a number 1. His name is David Raya.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought when he said that, I was like, oh, maybe one will be the Premier League and one will be the champ. Not that you should be, mucking around with the Champions League, but I thought maybe Ramsdale comes in for that. Raya, I don't think ever played Champions League, but no, like I don't think Ramsdale has played in Europe. Raya, but he's getting every minute. Like Raya is, and because of that, Raya's a really good FPL pick, guys. I know many of you will be like, "Oh, he's rubbish," and look, maybe he hasn't played well for Arsenal. But let's take the conversation away from FPL and go: is he a good FPL pick? If he's fit. He is playing his parent club this week against Brentford. So I guess Ramsdale does play game week 13.
Ramsdale plays this one for sure, yeah.
But game week 14 onwards, Ramsdale would have to have a worldie, and even then I don't think he'd be in. Raya is a starting Arsenal defender or goalkeeper for under 5 million. That's a good pick.
Yeah. I didn't pick. I talked obviously about before I did my wildcard of picking Raya, and I didn't in the end because of this game. I was like, no, I'm just not going to do it. It doesn't make enough sense to actually do that. So,
mate, steer me in the direction of Eze because I'm really tempted. Luton away, West Ham away, Bournemouth at home. can we back Palace? Like, do we look at those games and go, certainly Luton and Bournemouth games, are they reliable enough under Roy Hodgson? And are Luton and Bournemouth poor enough that banker Palace wins? They're
I
not,
don't
are
think
they?
so. No, I don't think they are, mate. I really don't think you can count on this Palace team enough to be saying that. I think that you saw Bournemouth obviously got a 2-0 win against Newcastle last time out. Luton only lost 1-0 to Man United, and Luton actually picked up a draw against Liverpool the week before that. So Luton's last 2 results are a draw with Liverpool and a narrow defeat to Man United. And Crystal Palace, they picked up a good win against Burnley, 2-0. But then last time out, they lost 3-2 at home to Everton. So, I'd say Palace are one of the most frustratingly inconsistent teams in the league right now. Eze is what sets them apart, but I think it's a gamble.
Yeah, my decisions this week. Let me tell you what I'm thinking. In fact, let me show you. I think we can probably move on to our teams. If I can show you my team first, and I'll give you my 3 scenarios. Let's go next to pimp my team. Here we go. We've got my team. This is the score I got last time out. Disappointing red arrow. But this is pretty much how I'll be setting up for game week 13. Matoma comes out this team. I don't have the money to go straight to Mbomo, but Mbomo is definitely someone I want for next week. So should I find a way of going straight to Mbomo? Well, yeah. Scenario A is Matoma to Mbomo and cash down to someone cheaper. Could go any direction for that cheaper defender, using both my free transfers. Eventually, however, I want cash to be Reece James. So do I go with option B, which is Matoma down to Eze, keep cash for the next couple of fixtures, which are good. Then next week, the RB to Mbomo. And then the week after that, I can go cash to Reece James if I want to do that.
Yeah.
And then option C, another long-term player I want. By the way, if I went Eze, he'd become Cole Palmer in 3-4 weeks' time. Another option is just to go option C, straight to Eze. Sorry, straight to Cole Palmer and forget about Eze. So Matoma down to Cole Palmer, and then again, Diaby to Mbomo, cash to James in the next few weeks. But do I want Palmer in the next 3 weeks, or do I want Eze in the next 3 weeks? I don't quite know. Eze's got the fixtures, but it would save me a transfer, so effectively save me 4 points somewhere down the line if I went straight to Cole Palmer. So I've got 3 scenarios. Or do I find a way of going to Mbomo this week? Because you're right. Arsenal at home isn't a bad fixture for him. But I kind of feel like Matty Cash against Bournemouth and Spurs is 2 good away games for Matty Cash to maybe get something.
Yeah, look, in terms of Cole Palmer and trying to judge him by his fixtures, it's pointless because he got 6 points against Man City and 12 against Tottenham. So I don't think it matters. And even he played Arsenal, didn't he, 2 weeks before that and got 6 points from that as well. So what Cole Palmer's showing, because of the fact he's on pens, but also because he's one of the best creators in that team and what gets into the best positions, is that he's a good pick no matter who Chelsea are going to be playing against. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. And I think he probably is a better pick than Eze, to be honest. I think that Eze could easily just give you the 2-pointer. Whereas Cole Palmer, I'm already starting to expect more of him than that. His price is already up to 5.2 mil now, Cole Palmer.
Yeah,
he's really on the rise. Yeah, he's going to be, before you know it, it'll be over 5.5. Like, he's going up that quickly. So I think that is interesting. Reece James, I think, is a topic of conversation as we get to trust him again. He says he's going to listen to his body more now, which is probably a wise thing to do.
Was he not before? Like, thanks. Thanks for missing all those big games.
It's so difficult with Reece. Because of his build, he's not really the right build for the type of player he is. Almost.
He's heavy.
I remember seeing a video of him on England duty, and they were doing these flexibility stretches and stuff. Reece James just couldn't do it. He was just stuck. He's got his big legs, and he was just
he doesn't even work out. Like, how's he that muscular? He says he's never does any gym work on his upper body, but he's just naturally hench.
He's just such a unit, Reece James, and it's just his injuries are just it must be so frustrating for him because he's obviously a ridiculous athlete, but because of the explosiveness he needs to have, as well as the short little movements, his body's not quite made for it. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes through it. And I really hope, actually, for all my dislike of Chelsea, that Reece James actually can put a run of games together. But Scott says, don't plan your transfers around Reece James. And that's exactly it. You can't plan around Reece James because you might think, right, in 3 weeks, I'll get him in. And by then he's back in the treatment room.
Yeah. And Scott, whilst that's on my radar, that move, these moves aren't dictated by accommodating Reece James. They're to get Palmer and Mbommo as my optimal 2 midfielders in instead of Diame and Matoma in 3-4 weeks' time. And then do I have a short-term punt on Eze? And is Cash replacement James likely? Yeah, because from game week 16, if James is fit in game week 16, he'll be in my team. If he's not, it's fine to go in a different direction. But remember, Chelsea don't have European football this year, and that definitely helps Reece's minutes. He's pulled out of the England squad to look at himself to go, yeah, I don't want to put my body under too much stress. He's at risk of not even being picked for England because he's got one more squad to make. But I mean, for me, the England team should be built around Reece James. He's that good. Yeah. What am I planning on doing with Diaby, says Alex. Yeah, Diaby is going to stay this week, but could move next. Let's see how he gets on against Spurs. Spurs away and Bournemouth away are both good fixtures for Diaby. There'll be teams they both just have a go against Villa. And I actually think against Matty Cash, like Cash's position map in away games is way better than at home, because in away games he's the main avenue down that right hand side. He's really encouraged to bomb on, and Kamara kind of often covers at right back and Cash goes on. In home games they're a little bit more fluid in attack, therefore Cash is a little bit more restricted because there's more of a front 3 going on. Often away it's more of a front 2. So just monitor that with Matty Cash. You might not want to sell him this week against Spurs and then Bournemouth.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely fair. Should we flip it over and see what my lads were up to?
Come on, let's see the Walton Rifles. I think you probably had a good-ish. Yeah, you beat me.
It was all right.
We both beat the Chasers team, which we'll see in a minute.
Yeah, it was all right. In the end, it was all right. I took a bit of gambling.
Good captain.
We're talking about Tyler being a differential that game week, weren't we? So, he popped up with a couple of goals. As I say, I'll probably stick with that again. A few people will go away from Haaland again, I think, for the Liverpool fixture and look to be a bit inventive, and I won't. I'm going to stick with him. I took a gamble on Johnston as my goalkeeper. I think he let in a goal in 1 minute against Everton.
Because you had double Palace. Look, the Palace defence pick made complete sense, especially
it
for a
was
short
so
term.
annoying.
The next 3 games are good. Palace defence are usually reliable.
I couldn't believe it. Like 1 minute into a home fixture against Everton. I'm sure it was 1 minute. I'm sure they scored straight away. And I'm like, he's gone for 2 of my players. Are you joking? On a wild card. Things did get a little bit better from there, but yeah, Son only getting a 2-pointer against Wolves in the early kickoff as well that day wasn't great for me. But yeah, so fixture wise for this week, I've got to decide: do I stick with Martinelli to face Brentford, or do I bring in Cole Palmer, who's got a match against Newcastle? I'll stick with Johnston and Gahey. Obviously, they got a decent fixture, so maybe I get my returns from them this time around. Maguire, honestly, like I can't believe that I've got Maguire in my team, but I'm really happy with it.
He's pretty nailed now as well, isn't he? Like his talk around might go a bit, but Lautaro Martinez will be back soon. Not Lautaro Martinez. Martinez will be back.
Well, I don't know if he will be back soon. I don't think Lisandro will be back soon.
Yeah, they've been pretty coy on that, haven't they?
Yeah, I'm not convinced he will be. One thing that does worry me here is Man United are about to feel the Everton backlash.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, mate. I just think like their atmosphere inside Goodison on Sunday, a game that's the 4:30 kickoff, prime time for the weekend, the big game, live on a Sunday, 4:30. So the fans have had a few hours in the pub as well before getting in there. Yeah. It's the big Everton against the world match, like
the core time.
Everyone is going to be bang on it. This is a terrible time for Ten Hag to take his team to Goodison Park. Onana, I see he picks up a knock during international breaks.
Yeah.
there's a small chance that they have to give their backup goalkeeper Altay from Turkey his bow. Like if they have to do that, that wouldn't be ideal time to be making your debut against Everton. Even though it's a good goalkeeper, he played well against Germany the other day. This Maguire pick, like when I did it and I was looking ahead, I was like, oh, Everton away, yeah, that should be all right actually. And now, because of this points deduction, I'm like, oh, Everton are going to win that game.
Yeah, and that's the fixture. When you look at the next couple of fixtures for United, you look at that one and go, oh, that's the clean sheet fixture, ideally, because they've not got the easiest of fixtures, Man United.
Yeah,
but Maguire does give you a bit of goal threat as well. He can stick his bonts on a set piece, can't he?
He does. He absolutely does. And he's not leaving this season, so I think he's a good pick. He'll be playing for the foreseeable future. We'll see if United end up signing a defender in Jan. They're going to look at this Todibo situation at Nice to see if they can sign him, but I'm not sure they will. I have to say, like, Jim Ratcliffe goes into Man United and the first thing he does is sign a player from his other club. It's not illegal, but it certainly don't look great. And then we've got the whole Varane situation to play out. Does he push for a January move or not? They need to try and figure that out. Ideally, I don't think Jim Ratcliffe will want to lose someone with the authority of Raphael Varane in a squad that's already got next to no experience or pedigree.
Yeah.
So I think that they might be against that. But yeah, in terms of Harry Maguire, I think that I should get a fair few weeks out of him.
Yeah, that was a good pick. That was genuinely a good pick. And Maguire is someone I've looked at and gone, if you're looking for a defender to save you money under 4.5, because there's a load at 4.5. If you want to spend less than that, Maguire, Lascelles, both really good picks. Branthwaite's another one. Lascelles is an interesting one, Dean, because as always, Eddie Howe isn't giving us concrete info on Botman. Like, there's the whole will he, won't he have surgery? And we still
sounds like
don't
he won't.
know.
Yeah, sounds like he won't have surgery, which is, I think, a good sign. I don't know if that means he'll necessarily be back quicker.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he's going to be back for the weekend,
rather.
does it? Because he's not having surgery. It's like...
Yeah, I don't exactly. So I don't think it means that suddenly we're on the verge of an imminent return, but it might mean we haven't got like a 6-month layoff or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
So that's somewhat encouraging. But yeah, Newcastle at the moment, if Trippier, for example, wasn't available for selection at the weekend, and they're already missing as many players as they're missing, like they're really, really starting to dig into the squad at that point.
Cole Palmer, baby, might be coming into my team. Let's have a look at the Chasers team. Guys, we're going to be answering your questions in the next couple of minutes. Stay tuned for that one. And the likes and subscribe. CH has put a rallying cry for likes. Thank you, CH. We try and get to 100. Apparently, the algorithm loves 100 likes. So
I'll
if
give
we
it a like.
Oh, mate, yeah, get that like in. Nice
51.
Here we go. Oh, that's weird. Mine's showing. Before you hit the like button, mine was showing 52. So now I'm now 53.
I'm on a different time zone. I'm way behind you.
The Chaser 11 is here. How are we looking? I mean, it's got no Haaland, which really cost us. Cost us. What do we do with no Haaland? Do we figure a way of getting him back in? Or do we just continue to go without him until after the blank? Because he does blank in game week 18, and then maybe we buy him back. But we'll put a poll out on Friday's show to see what you guys want to do with Haaland. There is roots back there. It requires surgery, and it probably requires on selling a Son or a Saka or a Watkins. But I think we're two of those guys. But I think we could do that. Bad, rotten week, wasn't it? I mean, captaincy was a nightmare. Captaincy was a really bad call there. I liked the Matoma punt, but it didn't work out.
No, it didn't. That hasn't worked out at all. And we know that I'm against the idea of losing Haaland, but you got to find a way around this, guys, because this is going to end in despair. It's going to take a clever captaincy, but you can try and be too clever, can't you? It's really tough.
And look at the fact we got no Haaland, Dean. That's really meant that the squad's really strong. So the likes of Simicast and Alvarez are on the bench. Simicast, 15 points. If we had Haaland, there's a chance he'd have been in the 11.
I mean, exactly that. 21 points. We talked about Simicast before that game, though, and we didn't know what we were really getting from him. And I still don't think we're really sure if he's good or not. But 15 points, that really rubs it in. I feel like if you're going to have Alvarez in this squad and you haven't got Haaland, Alvarez has got to be in the team.
Yeah,
got to give
that's a
yourself a
good point.
chance of making up for those points. And like,
Yeah.
if Haaland isn't scoring, then he is, or at least he's assisting Haaland. Like, surely you want to have the Man City goal potential here. Maybe he was left on the bench here because they had a relatively difficult fixture, but it's Man City. We should not be looking at fixtures. We should just be addressing them as Man City.
Yeah, and how are they in that moment? Like, if Man City are on good form and scoring lots of goals, it doesn't matter that they play Chelsea or Liverpool. They can still score 4 against anyone, and they showed that against Chelsea. And I think they might show it again this weekend. I think the Man City Liverpool game could be sparky, could be really sparky.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. Is the early kickoff, which sometimes can be a little bit slow.
Yeah. Usually under 2 goals, isn't it, that one?
Yeah, although I'm going for a Man City 3-1 win, I think.
Are you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm big. I'm fine captaining Haaland this week as well. Like, I'm going to go Haaland or Son. Son at home to Villa is a really good fixture too. I think Son against Villa last season got something like a 22-pointer and a 10-pointer in his 2 games. Like, Son loved playing against Villa last season. Yeah, guys, we've got enough time for some questions. Let's get them in. Have we been hitting that like button? What are you showing for likes, Dean?
Oh, let's have a look.
61.
I closed it deliberately so I could hoping that I'd open it to a higher new number. Let's have a look as it loads. We are on 60, miners.
Oh, well, that's so weird.
62 now.
Oh, good.
62. That's slow progress, people. That is slow progress.
Oh, let's see. If me and Big Man get more likes tomorrow, I'm going to be devastated. Come on, treat us with some respect. Dean and I are back on Friday. Me and Big Man tomorrow lunchtime. Guys, get your questions in. We'll do some quick fire alternate questions. I can take this one because I'm a Diaby owner. And Diaby to Mbommo is a move I'll be making probably next week. Or do you go Lascelles or Cash? Or you need to burn a transfer. Okay, Danny, you don't have to burn a transfer, but I get it. I would probably go Diaby to Mbommo. I think Lascelles and Cash, I think Lascelles is a long-term hold. And I think Cash for the next couple of weeks could be dangerous.
Yeah, I think that's fair. William says, who to bring in for Burn? Saliba or Reece James? It's too early for Reece James. Even if he starts, he ain't getting through the 60 minutes. There's certainly a chance of that. Maybe he gets 62, but there's also the 58-minute danger. I think Saliba is your man there.
Yeah, and the fixtures just aren't there for Reece at the moment. Question, who takes Wolves' pens? Good question. Since Ruben Neves left, we haven't seen a pen. I mean, does Pedro Neto step up if fit? I don't know I haven't looked at the records of Neto and Hwang, and I doubt Mateus Cunha would because he can never hit a barn door. But I think it'd be Pedro Neto if he was on the pitch. That's a punt, though.
Listed on FPL as their penalty takers are Cunha and Hwang.
Cunha on a pen, I would not trust him.
Hwang, I can see.
Yeah, I could see Hwang.
Yeah.
Hwang stepping up. Yeah. Whack him. This one's for you, Dean.
Yeah. Saliba, Gabriel, Trent, and Mitchell. Bench one for game week 13. Okay, let me just get the fixture list up. So Saliba and Gabriel have got Brentford away. Trent is playing in the early kickoff at Man City, and Mitchell has Luton away. So, I'd probably pick Trent. No, but I'd actually pick one of the Arsenal players. I don't think you need a double Arsenal against Brentford away, because I think the second that Brentford score, you're dead in that sense. So take your pick, Saliba or Gabriel.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I saw my mate FPL fella there asking a question in the chat about how did Cam get on with you being away? Yeah, mate, fine. I mean, I didn't like leaving her for more than a week, so I did a 6-day trip. 6-day trip, and yeah, got back to a poorly baby and a poorly wife, and I've obviously picked up the cold as well.
Picked it up. Did you get them presents though from Miami?
I did. Cam got loads of Reese's cupcake peanut butter things, standard airport gift. What did Guy get? I actually can't remember what I got. I think I got some cuddly thing. I can't remember what the animal
Miami
was.
Heat cuddly tie.
Yeah, it was standard airport gift.
Did you see into Miami's stadium?
Yeah, no, I didn't see it. I was staying right next to the Heat Stadium, which was great. But yeah, I haven't seen the Inter Miami work in progress. That's
many
be ready
people
by
in
26.
Messi shirts.
None. I didn't see a single person in a Messi
What?
shirt. Not a
Are you
single
serious?
person. Yeah, not a single person. I didn't see a single person wearing Inter Miami memorabilia. I reckon it's loads of outsiders. I still think in the city,
I see
they're
them
all...
I see them around here. I see
Yeah.
kids around here wearing Messi Inter Miami kits.
Yeah.
Wow.
William, who would you sacrifice to bring in Bomo, Watkins, Alvarez? I think I'd probably sack off Alvarez now, just.
Yeah, no, I think I would as well. And
You might.
got both. A -4 to bring Bowen in. Not this week, Antonio. Bowen, we don't know if he's playing. Fluid on the knee. Tests to be carried out in the next 3 days to determine whether he's going to be available for the weekend.
Even if he's fit, you're like, oh, could he last in that game? And he's definitely not a buy, Bowen. Like, he's a hold if you own him and you think he's going to be fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think you go shopping for him.
No.
Thanks, Antonio. Good question, though. Very topical. A lot of people looking at Bowen and Mbomo. Any other questions in the chat? Guys, thank you so much for all the love. And you're hitting the like button en masse now. We're up to 72. Thanks, team. Good. Grude Beast. This one's for Dean. Wouldn't be that confident in Maguire. Luke Shaw could play left centre-back. But if Luke Shaw did play left centre-back, isn't Maguire above Varane and Lindelof in the pecking order to still be right centre-back?
Yeah, I don't think Luke Shaw's going to come back into the team and go straight back in at centre-back ahead of Maguire, who's been playing the best he's played in ages. I think we're a little while away from that happening, Grude Beast. So I think I'll be all right. Look, if Maguire gets pushed out of the team, he's very easy to replace. So
yeah, Reguilon's hardly been playing well. Malacia hasn't been injured.
No.
So yeah, I'd say Luke Shaw be very welcome at left back. Thanks, Grude Beast. Resting Pilgrim, will you be bidding for the Messi World Cup shirt for the wall? I've got two. I can't even. I bought a Messi World Cup shirt, and it was the Argentina shirt with the badge on, but didn't have Messi 10 on. And I bought it and was like, oh no, classic football shirts are now doing a sale with the Messi 10 on. So I bought that one, and I've still got the old one with the labels, which I need to sell on eBay because I think I'll probably make money on it or get. I paid 90 quid for both, 90 quid both times. And obviously the one with Messi 10 should be worth more. So yeah, I need to sell one of them. If anyone's interested in on Twitter.
Dear oh dear. Dear oh dear. Right, where are we at? What's time? Oh, we've got 1 more minute. Is getting Eze in this game week and Bomber next game week and Palmer in for Eze after a few game weeks a sound plan? That sounds a complicated plan. But yeah, it could work.
I mean, that's what I was saying I might do. Eze now and then Palmer in 3 weeks.
Eze now, but then Bomber in between. Yeah, I mean, of course you can jump around like that. I guess Mbummo's got Luton the week after as well. He wants to do that. Yeah, go for it.
FPL fella said hashtag ad. I'm tempted to go to. I'm literally. I was like, should I put my Messi shirt on? But no, I will put my Messi shirt on. I think for the next stream. So stay tuned for Friday's episode with me and Dean. I'll be wearing my Messi 10 unless it's cold and I want the thick jumper because this is the coldest room in the house.
If we get a £90 super chat in, maybe you could just send them the shirt.
Oh, that'd be great. Selling shirts through super chats would be so much fun. I'll be well up for that. Guys, join me and Big Man Backer tomorrow at 1 p.m. So we'll be starting now tomorrow. Don't miss that one. He's got some super stats to show. Dean and I are back on Friday. We'll do the Chaser team poll. We'll show our teams. We'll talk more about our transfers and we'll be back properly in FPL mode. But for now, he's been Dean, I've been Gianni. You've been the Chasers and we love you very much. We've all been chasing green arrows. Goodbye.